Hi everyone, welcome to Point Blank. I'm Kylie.
And I'm Yvonne. Today we will be talking about sex. Yep, you heard us right. S-E-X, sex.
Yay. Yep, and to make our jobs easier today, we have with us in the studio Divya Sri, a secondary 3 student, Roseanne Lee, who is waiting to go to university.
We also have Jamie Teo, a student at Shatec, and finally also Otto Fong, an ex-teacher at a boys' school.
Yeah, but before we go into the juicy stuff, we've put together a video on sex education in school, so let's have a look at that first.
Does holding hands and kissing get you pregnant? And is premarital sex okay? These are just some of the questions that kids may ask when teaching them about the birds and the bees. Sex education in Singapore was put in the spotlight following the recent Aware saga. All sex ed programs run by external groups in schools were suspended by the Education Ministry after Aware's program was found to be inappropriate. MOE said in the meantime it would implement stricter vetting processes for external agencies that offer sexuality education in schools. But a welcome consequence was that parents are now more conscious about the need to educate their kids about sex. In a recent report, Singaporean parents the Straits Times spoke to said the following areas had to be covered: the Sex Act, sexually transmitted infections, contraception, masturbation, pornography, homosexuality, and most importantly, sexual morality and values. Since 2000, the sex education message was abstinence was the best way to prevent unwanted pregnancies, abortions, and STDs. But over the past few years, the number of teens going for abortions has remained in the region of over 1,200 a year. In 2006, the figure was 1,300. In 2007, the figure was 1,279. And in 2008, it went up to 1,390. Teens account for 12% of the total number of abortions done a year. Back in 2002, there were 238 cases of STDs among teens. Last year, it had gone up to 787 cases. So it's no wonder that in 2007, the Education Ministry decided it needed to add an extra message. Students were taught about the negative effects of unwanted pregnancies, abortions, and STDs. They were taught how to prevent this using contraception. Still, among 365 students surveyed in a recent Straits Times poll, 24% of students are sexually active, but only half use contraception. 83% of the sexually active who practice contraception use condoms, followed by the pill and the withdrawal method. When it comes to sex education, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. So here's the question: is there enough being done?
Yes, the question for the day, I guess. Is there enough being done? I think maybe we can start with Otto. You were a teacher, right? In a boys' school. Maybe that's a bit different.
Yes, I'm a science teacher in a boys' school.
Yeah. So, do you think there was enough being done?
I don't think there's always I don't think there's always enough that is actually done, given our conservative society. If you go and ask teenagers about sex, I think a lot of them have this difficulty discussing it. Sometimes I think from feedback from my students last time is that some teachers have problem discussing it too. And of course, we all have parents who have issues discussing sex directly with the teenagers. And I think given the alarming rise of the STDs in Singapore, I think not enough is being done.
Okay, maybe before we go any further, we should maybe ask people who are still young now, what was sex education like in school?
Sex education is now a blur to me, because I'm not sure what it is about back then, so I don't
Did
think...
you even go for it?
I tried to lah.
What do you mean by you didn't really know what it was about?
Back then, because sex education was held after school, so people would try to skip it to go home early or go out or whatever. So I don't think they really feel the importance of such topic back then. But as we grow up, I think when the teenagers are more sexually active, I think now they find it more important.
I'm actually surprised that there's students who actually skip sex education, because I thought that sex education is something that, once you talk about sex, the issue of sex, you don't need to do any demonstration or presentation. Instantly, the students sit up and wake up.
No need for publicity or anything, right?
No need. I mean, I don't even have to, prepare all the, the special chemistry set and all that to impress them, or videos or anything. Basically, I say sex. Okay, then okay, now that I have your attention, let's talk about something else.
Let's go back to atoms and molecules.
Yes, that's right.
So that's what you did during science class. So you said we're going to talk about sex, but then actually you start talking about
Only on very hot days when the aircon is not working.
And people are falling asleep. 70% of classes. Let's talk about sex.
That's right. And then they sit up, and then we can discuss the subject.
Okay, maybe we ask Divya. You're still in school, Sec 3. So what is sex education like for you in school?
Well, in my school we have like different lessons. One, they'll teach us during science lesson, where they're more detailing in about the body parts and all. Then next we have this lesson called character development, where they'll show us video and then we'll discuss in groups. In that, boys and girls will be separated. Boys will be in different class and girls will be in different class, so that we won't feel very shy to discuss it.
So what is in the video that they show you actually?
It's just about few teenagers getting to a relationship and then going further and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then during the discussion, what is it like? I mean, you were with a group of girls. Do y'all discuss or y'all talk about other things? Or because Jamie said, him and his friends were not very interested.
It's a blur.
Some of the girls were very shy, but some were open. So teacher will ask us, what do you think about it? Is that enough? Do you think that they should take more precautions and all? So based on the video, we have the answer and all.
Okay. What about you, Roseanne? Did you have the kind of sex education that Divya had?
We had something like hers, but for ours, no one actually listened much to it. Because our school has it like once or twice every year during my secondary school days. So it gets really boring because they're always saying the same thing over and over again. So after a while, you just switch off. You just don't want to listen. So to us, sex education, the lessons we had were like just chit-chatting lessons.
Can I just ask one question? The reason why you are not interested, or maybe your classmates are not interested, is it because there was no interaction, or is just basically the teacher is just telling you something?
Yeah, they were just doing presentations, so it was just listening and knowing what's going on.
That's why it's the same thing over and over again.
So you didn't really break up into groups for discussion and like what Divya had in school?
They actually clumped up many classes together into a whole lecture hall, and they just showed.
Okay.
So it was like a lecture, seminar sort of method.
So what do they tell you in that mass lecture?
Yeah, what do they say?
Oh, they just show us like pictures of like what happens with STD, how it look like. Just pictures that will horrify you, so that you will not want to have sex.
And you guys are laughing because I believe you guys know exactly what pictures.
Yeah.
They probably show you the same pictures.
Have impressions of it already.
It's all coming back to you.
Yeah.
Actually, during discussion amongst teachers, right, I actually raised this point. It's like, if we just focus on STDs, we're going to give the teenagers the impression that sex is really horrible. You will die from it. Parts of you will fall off and rot. And I felt that it is not bringing the human side to the story.
It's not a holistic way of looking at sex.
And it certainly doesn't involve the teenagers.
No, but then was it because, like you mentioned earlier, that some teachers have problems teaching sex education?
Yes, and
so that there is a resistance to begin with, so they just want to stick to the facts and
to
pictures.
the STD photos.
Yeah.
Yes, it's actually very difficult for some teachers to mention it. I think I don't know. I don't want to stereotype teachers, so therefore I won't even describe what kind of teachers would find it difficult. But one day when I was actually teaching in class, and I asked my students, okay, so why were you guys so bored? Oh, we were talking about sex with the other teacher. I was like, why is it boring? Then turns out it's because, basically they just run through it and then, very quickly stop at the facts. So I actually had a supplementary discussion with them about, because they're all boys. So I told them, okay, let's talk about abortion from a female point of view. Do you know how a woman what a woman have to go through in order to make the decision to have an abortion, and all the cold clinical environment that she has to face, and the fact that she may actually be doing something that she's not equipped to decide. So actually the discussion actually got very lively, and I think the boys actually got an added point of view, and they were able to have their input.
So you feel that interactivity is really important when it
Very
comes to sex
important.
education,
Very.
which is quite different from what you had, Roseanne, right? Yeah. Well, I guess sex education has evolved somewhat in Singapore, as we can see from the various different age groups we have in the studio, and I guess. While we say that it's not enough, much more interactivity is definitely needed.